Welcome to the Meaningful Mediation Podcast, the place where leading lawyers and negotiators share their best tips and strategies for mediation and negotiation. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, a full-time Florida mediator and lawyer. My goal is to help you have an effective and meaningful mediation. Each episode will provide you with real-world strategies and tips to help you negotiate and mediate with confidence. Let's get to it. And what about the client who walks in, and I'm sure you've seen this, and they have a number in their head for whatever reason, right? And, whether it's a public adjuster's estimate, it's a contractor's estimate, it's Bob, the neighbor that told them that's what their case is worth, right? And that really isn't the number, at least in your mind. It's not a realistic number. How do you manage that conversation?
Sure. It's a conversation that I am having with my clients very early on in the process, especially now with everybody having access to AI. Everybody thinks that they have a great bad faith claim, that they're going to win $1 million in bad faith punitive type damages. And so I'll sit down with my clients and walk through the estimate. Okay, this is, what you're looking at for your roof. This is probably what it's going to need to do your interiors. These are things in the estimate that are probably going to get eliminated in a motion in limine before we even get to a jury, to try to set expectations early on what they're really going to need to do the work. And also, we're having conversations usually in advance of the mediation is when I'm best poised to have that conversation, after there's been a little bit of discovery and we know the things that we're kind of on shaky ground with. We know the stuff that we feel confident that we're going to win on. And I'm doing that analysis of, okay, here's the things that we're likely to recover in front of a jury. And here's where your costs are likely to be by the time we get there. And then from this, your public adjuster's fee is going to come out of that. There's no way I can recover that from a jury or from a judge. And here's what would be in your pocket on what's likely to be your best day. And here's what's possible on your worst day. And here's what's likely to be the in-between number. So that they are having the full menu of how things could go at a trial before they're making settlement decisions on a mediation. I think it's really important to manage those expectations right up front, because if you let them run too long with that pie in the sky number that they have in their head, it only, the longer that sits there, the harder it gets for you to get it resolved.
For sure. And how does negotiating a condo claim, so with a board, differ from, say, a single family home? Any differences you see there?
The negotiation of it, I don't think is all that different. You're just managing a lot more personalities. Any board of people, you get a lot of different characters. So you got to make sure that you're communicating constantly and that everybody is on the same page, because they have to be able to then go back and communicate that decision with all of their unit owners. So you have to make sure that you're educating them in a way that they can communicate that back. And not everybody is always going to be on the same page. So you're doing a lot of noticing closed board meetings so that you can go over everything every step of the way. A lot of Zoom meetings face to face so that they understand and are comfortable with every step in the process. Earlier on in my career, I would focus my communication primarily on the president of a condo association. And that's still true. Most of it trickles down through the president, but I have gotten a lot better about making sure that I'm looping in the full board on everything and not assuming that the president or the property manager is doing that for me, because I've learned that that's not always the case.
Oops. All right. Well, let's pivot over to the windstorm insurance conference. So you've been there quite a bit. And what does sharing a panel with some of your opposing counsel teach you about how to negotiate with them maybe during the rest of the year? You learned anything new there?
I think that there is so much value in not only hearing the other side's perspective, value to your client. That way I can prep my client and prep my case for what I expect to be coming. If you're not hearing that other side, you're going to be surprised by it. But I'm not surprised by it because I'm hearing it discussed at all of these different conferences, particularly the WIN conference. But also in this age where we're doing everything by Zoom now, and we're having Zoom depositions and Zoom mediations, I'm not interacting with the defense attorneys in the same way that I used to. So having a conference where I'm seeing them face to face really helps personalize those interactions. So, for instance, there were 3 different defense attorneys at this year's conference that I have had cases with in the past, and made it a point to go up to them at the conference and say, hey, just wanted to introduce myself in person. Just, in case we have another case together down the road, so you could put a face to the name. And it's a lot harder to be short or snippy with someone or be curt if you've met them face to face and you've shaken their hand. People approach you different. And I think that is one of the many benefits of being involved in a conference like the Windstorm Conference.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Meaningful Mediation Podcast. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Additional episodes can be found on YouTube and your favorite podcast channels. Until next time, less dispute, more resolution.